Today on Divorce Court, the love between today's couple was on lockdown for 7 years after they were married in a prison ceremony. Now that he's a free man, she won't let him out of her sight, and he's beginning to feel like he's serving time all over again. She wants more appreciation for being his ride-or-die chick, but he says she needs to let him take the wheel.
Divorce Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lynn Toller presiding.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today with Curtis Williams and Lolinda Williams. Mr. and Mrs. Williams, the two of you have been together 7 years and married 7 years. Mr. Williams, please start by telling me the story of how the two of you got together.
First off, I'm really here to fix my marriage. I just wanted you to know that. But I did 17 years in prison. I was incarcerated for a long time. But during that incarceration, you know, I took classes, I took anger management, peer counseling,
You took everything they had.
Everything I could take to try to better myself, but the one thing I was missing was a woman.
But you never told her how we met. We met on the chat line.
No, that's the story I wanted. That's the story I wanted. You went in when you were 17, did you not?
Yes.
So you never really had an opportunity to live or to have a girlfriend or to have a woman.
No.
Now, Mrs. Williams, tell me about the chat line.
I was looking for love in all the wrong places, I guess. And one night I called after calling several nights, and I just happened to meet Mr. Williams on the chat line. We spoke for about an hour, 2 hours. And after we spoke, I decided that I wanted to come see him. And I came to see him for about a month. And after that, they transferred him to another prison somewhere else in Southern California. So I started coming down there to see him and moved down there because I wanted to be closer to him.
Gotcha. What happened when you got out? How did that
basically
alter the nature of the relationship?
When I got out, she basically expected me to do things that I didn't really know how to do. I didn't know how to check the water levels in the car. I couldn't change oil. I couldn't do the basic things that you expect for. What?
Mrs. Williams, one thing you need to learn how to do is let your man speak and don't interrupt him. That's the first thing you need to do. When you say she would get angry with you about it, what would she say when you didn't know how to do things?
Oh, she would talk about me, belittle me, tell me I ain't never gonna get it right. You know, all the time she telling me all these belittling things, discouraging things. I would tell her, just believe in me, I could do it.
Actually, I never belittled you at all.
Well, Mrs. Williams, talk to me. When he couldn't do things, how did you respond?
He couldn't do them because he never tried to. He said, I would not let him do this or anything. He could not change the oil because he didn't want to. That was simple. He came out as an 18-year-old in a 30-year-old's body.
Yes, that probably happened, but they don't teach you that stuff in prison.
No, they don't.
So how was he supposed to know? You can't get mad at a man for not having the knowledge he didn't have access to.
He doesn't listen. For example, before he got reincarcerated again, we had an incident with fireworks. He let off a firework 2 weeks before being off probation. And I told him not to let off the fireworks because the neighbors would hear it and have a problem with it. So the next day, he let off the fireworks and the neighbors had a problem with it. And one of our neighbors came out of our house yelling. So he approached him and he asked him what was the problem, that, you know, he had been working, he was tired or whatever. So Mr. Williams, you know, told him that he was sorry, just to back up, to leave him alone. So the gentleman went into his house to get a knife, as well as my husband went into our house to get a gun.
I guess what her point is, Mr. Williams, she's concerned that once you got out, you continued to do those things what got you in the first place, and that you didn't seem to turn that corner. Would you care to respond to that?
Okay, first off, the gun was hers. It was registered to her. I got that because I was protecting her.
You didn't need to protect me. I was already...
Mrs. Williams?
I come out, I go in the house. When I come out the house, she trying to be Superwoman and wrestle with the dude with the machete. So I'm a husband, what I'm gonna do? I didn't point it at him, I just lifted up the shirt and said, put it down. And he put it down, I grabbed it and threw it, and that was that. But the fact that I was a felon, I wasn't allowed to have her, and I ended up going back to jail.
How long did you know him before you married him? And was he still in jail when you did?
Yes, we did get married when he was incarcerated.
And how long did you know him before you married him?
I knew him about 3 years.
3 years.
No, before we got married.
No, before we got married
She
in there.
She knew me a year, Judge.
About a year. No,
About a year?
About 2 years. Yeah.
About 2 years?
Yeah, about 2 years.
We met in 2010.
About 2 years. We didn't get married until 2011.
Yes.
That's a year.
About a year.
You over there arguing and trying to clean stuff up. I think Mr. Williams is telling me the unvarnished truth, and you kind of shining it up for me a little
She
bit.
trying to throw me under this. She trying to throw me under this thing. That's
Actually,
what
I'm
she
not
trying to
trying
do.
to throw you under the bus.
I understand there's a lot going on here. You have some dreams of being a rapper that you believe that she does not support, and you say that you have lupus and that he causes such stress on you, it exacerbates or makes that condition worse. I want to talk about both of those things.
I call her mama wife. She does everything. She won't let me do anything.
You don't know how to do anything.
I do,
Mrs.
and I
Williams,
show
Mrs.
you.
Williams.
You don't even make doctor's
do
appointments.
not argue.
It don't matter what we go through. Tough times, they build bonds, that's what they supposed to. Argue as if on cue like little kids do. Can't agree on nothing, she looking like I don't hear you. Love is pain and pain is love. Lolinda, before we end it, we'll see the judge. And yeah, you ain't alone, you just needing a hug. One life, one wife, got it tatted right here.
Lovely sentiment, Mr. Williams. So we're going to talk about our two significant stressors. One, the fact that she doesn't support your rap career, and another that you are battling with lupus, which is an ongoing difficulty that you have that is made worse by stress. First, the rap. Why do you tell me some stories that would lead me to believe she is not supportive of your career choice?
When she met me, she knew what my dream was. I don't think she believed that I was good enough, but she knew what I was after. So when I came home, immediately I started booking shows, performing all over Sacramento. When it came time to perform, after she saw I performed about 3 or 4 times, the money would come up short. She would all of a sudden become sick. And for some reason, some strange reason, I would be headstrong at performing, and by the time she was done doing her mojo, I was like, you know what?
Excuse me.
Being a husband is more important right now than performing. Then over time...
Mrs. Williams, let that man finish.
Then over time, my interest started declining because I was constantly taking her to the hospital. I always want...
Well, you know she can't do anything about the need to go to the hospital.
I call her mama wife because she takes care of, she does everything. She won't let me do anything.
You don't know how to do anything.
I do,
Mrs. Williams,
and I show
Mrs.
you.
Williams.
You don't even make doctor's
do
appointments.
not argue. Mrs. Williams, do you support his rap career?
I do. I was actually there with him, was doing that, helping him. I've been at every show, everything, supporting him at all studios.
You ain't been at every softball game?
I told him, actually, I have.
In the car?
Yes, in the car, because I don't feel well, and I'm doing stuff like making appointments and stuff that you do not do because of
Mrs. Williams,
I got a wife for
Mrs.
that.
Williams, Mr. and Mrs. Williams, I'm gonna tell you something. You came here for help. I can't help you watching you have the same argument you had in the house. So why don't you let me do my job to see if I can help you get what you want? Maybe I can, maybe I can't, but I know I can't if you just keep yapping. Why don't you tell me what you believe causes you so much stress that it affects your lupus?
He antagonized me all day.
Give me some examples.
Like, I'm on the couch and he'll keep, nudging at me or saying like, do you want to watch this channel? Or he'll turn the channel. I don't want to watch that. He just won't leave me alone. It just keeps bothering me.
I understand that you believe that he chooses his family over you and
Correct.
that they weren't supportive of you even though you were supporting him. Why don't you tell me about that?
I was supporting him. They never supported him. They never even went to go see him.
When he was in prison.
Right. Everything was left on me. They know my health condition, Your Honor, and they still left me homeless the whole time when he was incarcerated.
I understand that you were putting money on his
Yeah,
books.
I had enough for that, for him. But I didn't have enough to support myself to even get a place, which they knew that I was homeless the whole time.
Mr. Williams, is that an accurate representation of what happened?
I mean, I was inside. There was not much, I could try to help, But if she's not receptive to the help that I'm trying to give her,
They wasn't
or
trying
that
to
they're
give
trying
me
to
Why
give
don't you, did you ever say to her, don't put no more money on my books, baby. I need you to have a place to stay.
I said all that.
No, he might have said that, but he was still asking for
She
stuff,
made the
wanted me to
statement.
come.
She made the
He
statement.
wanted to come see you.
No,
but
he wanted me to still come see him when he's saying not do this or still calling me to ask me to put money on his books accounts.
Okay,
She told me when we first got married that as long as breath is in her body, she gonna be up there to visit me, and that's what I expect.
But he doesn't have
why
to be.
do you feel your family doesn't like her?
Because she wants to take all the time from me. Like my brother, for example, he said that I was gone so long, he never got a chance to bond with his big brother. So he wants to spend as much time with me as possible. But she monopolizes all the time.
They need to put in time. They didn't come see you. That's not real family love at all.
I mean, I ain't gonna say that's true, but
It is true.
Yeah, I understand both of your positions. It's a very difficult thing that you're trying to get through here. Mrs. Williams, you say that you're not a priority and that he ignores you, and I want to explore that next.
she always cuts me off. When I want to talk or explain something, it starts with no, and then. So I think we're at a point in the marriage.
Because you're always doing something
Now, Mrs. Williams, you cut him off in the middle of him telling you that you cut him off. Would you marry someone while they were serving time in prison? Tell us what you think at Divorce Court. Why do you say that you don't feel like you are a priority to your husband?
I don't feel like I'm a priority because I was in the hospital one time and they admitted me because I had a lupus flare-up of all the stress. And the next day, he was like, oh, I got a softball game. He left me for a softball game when I was having COPD and trouble breathing. So when he got back, I was furious, very upset. I wouldn't have never left him for a softball game.
Mr. Williams, did you leave her for a softball game while she was in the hospital?
I sure did. I don't say it to say like it's bad, but I mean, I had a softball game.
Right.
I got an obligation to fulfill.
Was she critical?
Nah, she wasn't critical.
How long had she been in the hospital before you went off to the baseball game?
Probably like a day and a half.
Did you come back?
Of course.
You told me a story earlier about the firecrackers, and then you got in trouble. Didn't something happen where you guys went on the run for 6 months?
He didn't listen again. He ended up getting caught.
Well, tell me the story, Mrs. Williams, since you seem to want to.
Well, we went on, everywhere.
I want to tell it.
And we ended up living, because you don't ever tell the whole story.
I want to tell the story.
Oh, well, look, I'm going to let Mr. Williams tell the story, because I don't think he gets to talk much at home. Mr. Williams, go ahead.
Listen.
Go ahead.
So basically, once I went in, I asked for a bail reduction for $1 million. They dropped it to $750,000. Well, they kind of erroneously left out a zero and made it $75,000. So before I was supposed to take a deal, I bailed out at 2:30 in the morning, and we went on the run.
Right.
From California all the way to Florida.
But
This is what happened right after the fireworks incident.
Yeah, but she wanted to know what happened in Florida.
No, she said the fireworks.
He's telling me exactly the story I want to hear.
So they caught me down there. She was in the hospital bed again, and I needed to go to the store. So on the way to the store, I basically got surrounded by the Seminole County Police, and they held me for 7 days in Florida and extradited me all the way back. Judge, I was tired of running.
Right.
I was tired of running.
Yeah.
He had never been nowhere in his life for being incarcerated.
So you thought it was a good time to tour the country?
Well, no, he thought it was a good time to tour the country. He chose that. I didn't make him
But
do
you
that.
didn't have a problem with it.
No.
That's the part I'm trying to get to.
But
you need to be responsible for what you do.
I am responsible for what I do.
Oh.
See?
What can I do? Mr. Williams, you said to me when you came out here, I really want to fix this marriage.
I really do.
What is it you want me to do for you?
You're actually doing it now. You're telling her what she does that, like, for example, she always cuts me off. When I want to talk or explain something, it starts with no, and then with what she has to say. So I think we're at a point in the marriage.
Because you're always doing something
Now, Mrs. Williams, you cut him off in the middle of him telling you that you cut him off. Do you know how deep that is? I mean, he's telling you the error that you make, and you're stopping him in the middle of that error, making another error. It's horrible. Let me see what I can do for you. Do you think your partner would support you if you had to serve extensive time in prison? Share your opinion on Twitter and Instagram at Divorce Court. Divorce Court will be right back. There are difficulties in having a marriage, even under the best of circumstances. Two people from two different environments trying to make a home together. It is even more difficult to make a relationship work when you weren't together before you got married because he was incarcerated. And not only that, he never got to experience the world as a grown man, as having gone in at 17. There's a whole lot of issues and problems you have as a function of the manner in which you got together. My conversation is going to be with you, Mrs. Williams. Mr. Williams has an ability to acknowledge what's not going well and seek change. You don't. You seem to be extraordinarily agitated over small things. You should be extraordinarily compassionate about all the things that he doesn't know because he had never got an opportunity to know them. You should be extraordinarily compassionate about his desire to seek his dreams because he's never had an opportunity to do that. And I think what you're doing is you're so hyper-focused on his deficiencies that he's come out from one prison and entered another. A prison of constant derision, a prison of constant criticism. And it just doesn't seem that you're willing to look introspectively at your own behavior and think, man, am I doing enough to get this cat from where he was and bring him into the world with me? I don't think you're loving him like that.
Actually,
No, you're not. Is she loving you like that?
I don't think she respects me or loves me like that.
You don't.
No. Hear him. I don't think she respects me. Boom.
But I do respect him.
But he doesn't feel it. And so if he doesn't feel respected, it don't count.
I don't feel that he cares about me.
You can't stop talking about yourself long enough to address his problem. And until you can do that, we can't get to your problem. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Mm-hmm. He has a whole long way to go. You accepted him as the man he was. He had the emotional and relational expertise of a 17-year-old. And you're hot at him because he won't behave like he's 35.
Not really.
You picked him. Yeah, you are. You're mad at him. You never let him finish a sentence. No one feels respected when they're interrupted. You interrupt me. And I'm a judge. And this is my spot. And you interrupt me. You interrupt him, telling him that you don't interrupt him. I'm gonna have you see somebody when you leave here, and I want you to listen to him because he's very good at what he does, and he'll get you on a path. But to get what you want, you're first gonna have to be able to respect him for who he is, where he is, and let the man finish a sentence. And not just let him finish the sentence, actually listen to what he has to say. And then you'll be a place where you can respect one another. Mr. and Mrs. Williams, I think you're two good people fighting a lot of negative circumstances. I think you have the capacity to grow and get better, and I think that's fantastic. And I wish you all the best. I wish you the best as well. This matter is adjourned.
Are you going to listen to Judge Lynn's advice and see someone and try and make this work?
Probably not. Because he lied.
He said he wants to fix it.
Yeah, he said he wanted to fix it, but after this, I'm not fixing it.
I mean, it is what it is, and I love her. I want to be with her, but I ain't gonna be where I'm not wanted. We've been trying to work together as a team and work it out. It's not been easy, but I love her and we're best friends and we're trying to make the best decisions for the best that's in the benefit of both of us.